Hello all, welcome back to Shigma Peg Lake. Just got a couple of packages to unbox here real quick. So how's everybody doing out there? Yes, I know I was supposed to do a head shave yesterday. I didn't get to it. I passed out early and I didn't wake up at all during the middle of the night. Just because I only got like 4 hours of sleep the night before, so I kind of passed out early. It happens occasionally. So it came out of the box. That. Packaged very well. I guess you would call this new old stock. This is the Remember When radio decanter. It's Avon. And I did not know about this scent until the Rusty over at the Rusty Razor used it the other day. I did not know about Avon having a dupe of Old Spice. I knew about Thai Winds and Wild Country and a couple other ones, but I did not know about their Old Spice dupe with the Avon twist. So let's give it a snifferoo. Yeah, it's Old Spice with an Avon twist. That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Rusty, for letting me know about that. Now, this company you've seen before, I have, you can't see it on the camera. Let's rotate it over a little bit. Can we? See in the corner over there at that first shell? The blue, green, and orangish, tannish looking bottle. Those are all DBA Barber. And since I had a problem with two of their bottles that got shipped to me, the box had must have got stepped on or something, and neither spray bottle on top worked. They were broken. And I contacted them and said they were broken and could you please send me new ones? And they did. But look how they wrap them down before they send them out. Yes, it's pink. It's also got a great name. Deez Nuts. You want to take a whiff of Deez Nuts? And my other bottles have a lever that you push forward or pull it back. When you pull it back, it rides up. It's in a channel. It rides up and then back. And it locks the spray handle. You can't squeeze it. This one's a push button. It's a different style. But I can't pull the trigger. Okay. Ooh. Okay, great. This is supposed to be a fruitier scent than the other ones. This one, it's not on the label, sorry. But this one is like lemon. Okay, man. It's fruits. It's just a fruitier scent. And I've got a couple of fruity scented soaps, no aftershave for them. And I always end up going to my Florida water because it's got lime in it, or lemon, both, whatever. But this has more. That is a heavy, excuse me, citrus scent. So, if you want, swing on by and take a whiff of Deez Nuts. All right, onto the shave. Be right back. All right, we're back. We're gonna do a head shave today, which we should have done yesterday. Like I said, sorry about that. Just it wasn't in the cards. We're gonna be using the Q Shave cartridge, 5-bladed monster. 5th use of this razor. Just using the old Wilkinson Sword soap, the new Avon Spicy. Gotta use it. Gots to use it. And using my 30mm Maseto brush, which is dripping. Squeeze some of the water out of that. Open up this stuff. It smells like soap. I don't know what anybody else gets off of the Wilkinson Sword soap. I get soap. So we're just going to load the brush straight from the puck. And lather it straight on the head. Possibly. Lately my latherings haven't been the most spectacular in the world. See how this one goes. It's going just like the other ones. All right, I'm going to dip the brush in water. Go back to the puck. I had a feeling I really didn't have a lot of soap on there. This is a really hard puck because I wasn't getting a lot of soap buildup on the puck or around the edge of the container. Might have more on my fingers than I do on the brush. We'll see. You can see there's soap in there. Just got to get it out. That's another reason I don't like loading from the puck straight out of the tub. Sorry about the fan, guys. It's 80 degrees in the house. I know you guys are dealing with snowstorms, and I'm talking about 80 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. It's 80 degrees in the house, and the heat's not on. It's been in the 80s the last few days. Bright, sunshiny 80 degree temperatures. Okay. Let's see what we can get going here. Okay, just a little bit I've used it so far. Still no tugging or anything. This gets up around the ears much better. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to wear this one out so I can throw it away. Okay. Because now I can put my eyeballs back in and see what the hell I'm doing. Alright. I got 2.5 pages here, so let's get on it. The Little Ice Age. You know about the Little Ice Age? It was a period of regional cooling, particularly in the North Atlantic region. The term was introduced to the scientific literature by Francois E. Matthys in 1939. Now, the Little Ice Age is credited with only lasting from 1650 to 1715. Only 65 years. But some argue that it lasted until 1850. Okay? In that case, 200 years. It's going to depend on what scientists you listen to. And then, of course, there was all the preceding factors, cooling temperatures that led up to the Little Ice Age that started in like the 1200s and proceeded for 200 years into the Little Ice Age, to the period they call the Little Ice Age. Now they say the causes of it were cyclical, I don't do English well, lows in solar radiation, heightened volcanic activity, because you know volcanoes, what they do. They spew mountains of ash into the air, which turn black and block out the sun and keep the sun's radiation from hitting the ground. Changes in ocean circulation could have been a cause. Variations in the Earth's orbit and an axial tilt, which they say the Earth goes through every so many years. It goes through a polar, a north and south pole shift. Inherently variable in global climate could have been a cause, and a decrease in human population from like epidemics like the Black Death and the Mongols killing millions in their expansion. Which less people equals less heating. The human body throws off heat, you know, like cow farts, plus, which is a domino effect. Less animals needed to feed less people. Less fires needed to warm said people. So all those things contribute to the temperatures rising. So lots of factors could have contributed to it. We can't narrow down at this day and age which one it really was. And they're saying it could be a combination of said effects that all work together to create this event. Now, the average temperature drop from the beginning of the 15th century, the 1400s, to 1850 is minus 0.03 degrees Celsius to minus 0.06 degrees Celsius. Not even a full degree. But if you notice that little picture I posted in the beginning of this, they've been doing this to us for years. They've been scaring us with the weather for years. It's all a ploy. It is. It's all to keep you in control and keep you scared. If you're scared, you can be controlled. If you don't worry about it, you can't be controlled. Because you know what? The earth goes through cycles. The earth changes constantly. You can't say that we are contributing that much to it. The earth is tougher than we are. If the earth needs to get rid of a few people, it has an earthquake, a volcano, a massive storm. A few people gone. But anyways, for 400 years prior, for the little ice age, let's say for 400 years, in 1250, the Atlantic pack ice began to grow. A cold period that was possibly triggered or enhanced by massive eruption of Semilas volcano in 1257, an associated volcanic winter in 1275 to 1300, for when the radiocarbon dating of plants shows that they were killed by glaciation. 1300, for when warm summers stopped being dependable in northern Europe. In 1315, for when rains and the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317 occurred. In 1560 to 1630, for when the worldwide glacial expansion known as the Grindelwald fluctuation began. And in 1650, for when the first climate minimum occurred. Yeah, all these things happening. During this period, in 1303 and 1306 to 1307, the Baltic Sea, the whole Baltic Sea froze over twice in that. Once in 1303 and then in 1306 through 1307. The Baltic Sea froze. Guys, you know it's hard to get a sea to freeze because of the amount of salt water in it. Even in northern climates. Farms and villages in the Swiss Alps were destroyed by encroaching glaciers during the mid-17th century. In 1658, a Swedish army marched across the Great Belt, which is a water divide between Denmark and Sweden, into Denmark and attacked Copenhagen. The winter of 1794 through 1795 was particularly harsh. The French invasion under Pichegru, marched on the frozen rivers of the Netherlands, and the Dutch fleet was locked in the ice harbor at Den Helder Harbor. Sea ice surrounding Iceland expanded for miles in every direction and closed harbors to shipping. The population of Iceland during this time fell by half because they couldn't get the food they needed to survive and other materials. The Norse colonies in Greenland had starved and vanished by the early 15th century because of crop failures and the inability for livestock to be maintained throughout increasingly harsh winters, because livestock need crops. Greenland was largely cut off by ice from 1410 to the 1720s. That's how long Iceland or Greenland was separated. They couldn't get to it because of ice for that long of a period. Hang on. Okay. Put the wrong page up front. Crop practices through Europe had to be adjusted and altered to adapt to the new climates, because the summers weren't reliable. You couldn't count on the warm weather to grow your crops in the summertime. And there were shorter growing seasons. When it was warm out, it was a shorter growing season. The violin maker Antonio Stradivari, you've heard of Stradivari violins, they're very, very expensive. The originals are very, very expensive. He produced his instruments during the Little Ice Age, and they say that the denser wood that grew at that time period, because it had to be thicker to survive the cold, is what gave his instruments their unique sound and tone. Because the wood was denser. That period, the Ice Age period, inspired novelties in everyday life, as the widespread use of buttons and buttonholes, as well as knitting of custom-made undergarments for the better covering of and insulating of the body. So underwear became much more practical and customized because of the cold. Which makes sense, doesn't it? You want your nether regions to not be the nether regions. Remember back in the early part of this, the 1200s, 1300s, most houses were not rooms. They were one big room. One little part over here you would cook your food. Another part over here is where the whole family gathered. This is where the family slept. And they had a fire generally in the middle of the room to heat the whole place. Chimneys were invented to replace open fires in the center of the communal halls, to allow houses with multiple rooms to have separation of masters and servants too. Here's an interesting fact. Witch trials increased. Witches were made scapegoats. Prior to the Little Ice Age, nobody believed that witches could control the environment, the weather, until the Little Ice Age hit, and you started having famines and crop shortages and droughts and everything associated, and rampant disease wiping out whole communities. And all this stuff. So they needed a scapegoat. So they blamed the witches. They were made scapegoats for prolonged cold, dry seasons, disease, crop failures, livestock deaths, famine, crimes of violence, sexual offenses, and murder. Jews were also blamed in some communities because they were a minority group. So they were blamed. Some places blamed everything on general divine displeasure. God was angry with people, so he is making them like Lot's wife, looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah. In Germany, regulations were imposed upon activities such as gambling and drinking, which disproportionately affected the lower class, and women were forbidden from showing their knees. Other regulations affected the wider population, such as prohibiting dancing, sexual activities, moderating food and drink intake, all in the name to appease God. And you take away this curse he's laid upon our land. Okay, I just tried to wipe my glasses with a semi-wet towel. That did not work. throughout the Little Ice Age, there was heightened volcanic activity, which a lot of volcanoes means a lot of basically nuclear winter. The sun was blotted out. The radiation was blotted out from hitting the earth because of the ash clouds over the earth. And they could last for up to 2 years. And it also emits sulfur in the form of sulfur dioxide. When sulfur dioxide reaches the stratosphere, the gas turns into sulfuric acid particles, which reflect the sun's rays. So even more reflecting of the sun's heat. This further reduces the amount of radiation reaching the Earth's surface. Just my trouble areas, otherwise we're good. Yep, even that one spot that's been giving me trouble lately is good. The Black Death is estimated to have killed between 30 and 60% of Europe's population when it hit. The population of Europe was estimated to be about 475 million people. After the Black Death, it was reduced to 350 to 375 million. It killed at least 100 million people. In the 14th century, it took 200 years for the world to recover from that. Less people, less heat needed. Less animals needed to feed less people. All that affects heating, global warming, let's say. I hate to use that term, but it's basically what it does. It affects it. So these people want to talk about our cars and cow farts are affecting the climate. No. The amount of people on the planet are affecting the climate. There's too damn many of us. And then also it happened in South America during this time period. The South Americans came in contact with European explorers who brought their European diseases to the South American tribes who didn't have any way to combat them in their system. Their bodies knew nothing of these diseases, and it decimated tribes. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of them died from diseases carried by Europeans. Again, less people. So all these factors combined, good shape, good shape. So all these factors combined, guys, equal your little ice age. Less people creating less heat. Less animals with their less farts. Just throw that one in there. Increased volcano activity, throwing more ash into the atmosphere, blocking out more of the sun's rays. There was also supposedly a solar minimum during this time, which is a reduced amount of solar flare activity. So there was even less heat coming from the sun to the earth. So there was many factors that went into creating the mini ice age. And meanwhile, the people were praying that God would lift the curse on humans and let them thrive. Which Hazel? It's a cartridge. I don't need the gallon block. But going back to that picture I showed you at the beginning, Avon Spicy, I remember the articles about the coming ice age in the 70s. Time magazine. It's at the doctor's office. My mom's doctor's appointment, not mine. I was sitting in the waiting room, And I was just a kid, and I was reading about the coming ice age in Time magazine. That's a great scent. That is great. That is fantastic. I like that one. Thank you, Rusty. That is good. I might even like that a little better than Old Spice. Johnson & Johnson baby lotion to keep the dome soft. And then the acid rain. Remember the acid rain scare? It's all about control, folks. Everything's about control. Follow the money. Oh, the scientists say we're global warming. Yeah, who's paying the research bills is what they're going to say. Look at who's paying their research bill, giving them the research money. And they're going to say whatever those people want them to say. Okay? Always, always, always. I preach this all the time. Follow the flipping money. You will get your answers. Everything is about money. Everything. You don't believe me? Follow the money. You'll see your answers. Alright guys, I appreciate you being here. Don't forget the that affiliate link to the razor company. You're going to buy from the razor company, use the affiliate link. Yes, I get a kickback, but once that account hits 25, I do get a $25 gift card to the razor company, give it back to you guys. I appreciate it. I know most of you are on buying freezes. That's why nobody's used it lately. And that's fine. When it gets there, we'll use it. We'll give it away. Don't forget to check the 4 channels in the description box. Give those guys a like and a sub. I'm sure they'd appreciate having their numbers increased. And I thank you all for being here. And with that, I will say enough of the babbling fat guy in the camera. You're in the chair next. Happy shaves out there, guys.